let's get going. Want to respect everybody's time, and as more come on, that'll be fantastic. My name's Paul Hitchcock. Want to welcome everybody here. We have a good group signing on, and thanks for being here. This is Wealth Protector TV. This is our channel at Barth Calderon, where we always want to give value and keep you dialed in to hot topics that we want you to know about. And James is one of our top attorneys at the firm, asset protection, estate planning, business planning. And today we're talking about the Dynasty Trust, which is a very interesting trust. And we're going to jump into this. We do a lot of this for clients. And as a firm, I'll mention we have 6,000 clients across the country. We're located in Southern California and just speak everywhere. And let's get into this hot topic. James, the Dynasty Trust, what is it?
Sure. So the Dynasty Trust is a very cool trust. I also love the name, the Dynasty.
But, yeah, it's like the Ming Dynasty, I think of, right. Like going on for thousands of years.
And that's the purpose of the trust. So a Dynasty Trust in general basically means that it's supposed to last for a long period of time, not just your children, not just your grandchildren, but great-grandchildren, and so on and so on. So a lot of trusts, although not the most common trusts, have dynasty provisions. Our trusts typically do. But there are two types of dynasty trust, one that you create during your lifetime and one that you create upon your death. So we have the testamentary, the dynasty trust, and the ones that you create during your lifetime. So
what's the testamentary trust? What's that?
Yeah, that just means that when you die, then the trust activates, so to speak.
Okay, so we're talking about estate planning and your living trust here, which a lot of people know about a living trust, whether they have it or not. And then now we're getting into the dynasty type of a trust, which is different from that, but this is what you're explaining now.
Correct. So if you take a look at your common revocable living trust that most people have, majority of people, what they typically say is when they pass away, it goes to their kids, usually outright or in a staged distribution, such as a third of it at age 25, a third of it at age 30, and the rest of it at age 35. Mm-hmm. That's the common ones that I see. For people that are leaving kids more wealth than average, they typically hold the money in trust for a longer period of time. So it could be up to the kid's lifetime, which has a lot of perks, including asset protection perks. So when it goes beyond the kid's lifetime, it then drops to the grandkids, which gives it a dynasty effect.
Got it.
However, that is a dynasty. It's like a dynasty trust, but it's not created for to last the entire sets of generations, because the ones that we typically create, the kids could pull out the money as they need to. So they could spend everything out.
Okay, so with a non-dynasty trust, there are ways to set it up so it covers multiple generations, but the dynasty trust is a separate scenario, and we're
correct.
To the
so
future.
The scenario that a dynasty trust would come in is when you're trying to preserve the assets within the trust for generations. So you could say, look, everything that's within this type of trust, the beneficiaries, whether it's the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids, they can only use it for certain situations. Maybe only for educational purposes, maybe only for health purposes. So they have a safety net because they didn't make the money. It's money that they inherited from the parents. So that's one way to create a dynasty trust. You just want to extend the life of the trust by preserving the assets.
Okay, well, so let me ask you that, because I actually had a call today, someone who came to one of our workshops. They're having a huge liquidity event. They're selling a business, and in the neighborhood of 15 million in addition to what they already have. And so it's a lot of money, couple kids, and would that be a scenario you just described of, okay, this is a lot of money, very tight family, they want to make this last for generations, and they're young, so this money is going to grow. It's 15 million now, maybe 30 million in 10 years, who knows? But point is, it's a lot of money. That is something where you can start having that discussion. Is correct?
Absolutely, they qualify for a dynasty trust, but whether it fits within their personality or their goals and objectives, that's a different story.
Oh,
Some
got it.
people, they say, look, I don't want to create trust babies, so let's just create a trust to help um, act as a safety net for the kids, as
Got
opposed
it.
to having the kids or the grandkids have full use of the assets when they pass away.
Got it. So,
Um,
how? Yeah, let's get into the details of the dynasty trust. Like, what, what does that look like, and how do you set it up? What are the the components of it?
Sure. So that's the testamentary dynasty trust. There's another version of the dynasty trust which is created during your lifetime, um, which is an irrevocable trust
Okay,
for your descendants. So not just your kids, it could be your kids and grandkids and great grandkids, etc., all bunched together. Um, and when you create it during your lifetime, there's a different purpose to it. Typically, the people who create these types of dynasty trust are the ones who have uh, more money than the estate tax exemption value is. So, just to give a foundation, everyone has $12 million under current law to give away, that they can give away to kids, grandkids, anyone actually.
yeah,
Um, but any money beyond that amount is subject to estate taxes, which is 40%. Um, so, and any money that you give to not just your kids, but a grandchild or you're skipping a generation is subject to generation skipping tax,
okay,
which might tack on an additional 40% tax rate as well.
big numbers,
So,
yeah.
yeah, big numbers. It adds up really quickly once you pass that estate tax threshold. So, what a lot of people like to utilize the dynasty trust for is I have a scenario where uh, you have enough net worth to be subject to estate taxes. And so you're trying to funnel as much money as you can to the kids and grandkids in the future because you're still active, you're still growing your net worth, you're still participating in businesses to do so. So what happens is you might come to an opportunity where you might get a asset that's going to appreciate wildly, um, fairly quickly. That you know it's going
A
to.
business or property or
Correct.
whatever.
Business, property, project, and you would set up this dynasty trust that's going to last generations. You're going to make a gift of this business opportunity property into this dynasty trust. We'll structure it so you have control over the asset.
Oh, so it's not about losing control.
Yeah, we always make sure that you somehow have the control over the asset.
Got it.
Yeah, one way or another, whether it's indirectly or sometimes directly. And when you make that gift, let's say it's worth $1 million today, but you anticipate it's going to grow to $5 million in a couple years. You make that $1 million gift into the dynasty trust. It grows to $5 million. It's completely exempt. That growth is completely exempt from any state taxes,
Oh,
any
wow.
generation skip taxes, and it's there for not just your kids, but your bloodline, essentially.
Hmm.
So people like to utilize this tool to build assets for future generations, their future generations, which is a very cool tool.
Yeah, and the property, James, that's transferred into this trust can be any type of property.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there's some that might cause some reassessment issues, or there might be some that has some tax implications. But that's one of the things that we take a look at.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, and then a business. So if you have a business that's growing, you can transfer a portion or all of the business
Yeah,
into a
it doesn't
dynasty
have to
trust.
be all or nothing. It can be a piece of it. So you could transfer 10%, 25%, 100%.
So that's interesting. So let's say you are running a closely held business, or you have property for that matter, you're running that
Mhm.
business, and you have kids, and the kids are working in the business, and you want to transfer a portion of the ownership of the business to the kids.
Mhm.
Let's say you give the kids 10%, that it takes that 10% of the business out of your estate, gives it to the kids. So now 90% of the value of that business is growing in your estate. Is that, am I looking at that right?
Right. You could create it in that fashion. Um, when when kids are involved in a business, especially if not all the kids are involved in the business, it gets very tricky. Um, Dynasty Trust might not be the best option to use in this case, just because it's going to benefit all of the kids, right?
Mm,
And if only a couple kids are working at the business, then you're giving more benefit to the other kids, even though they're not working at the business.
got it.
Another issue with that is, remember, the Dynasty Trust is designed to last generations.
Hmm.
So if we're putting a business in there that a kid's working at, they might not feel like they're going to be able to reap the rewards because we put in restrictions, because the purpose of this trust is to last generations,
Oh,
not for
okay.
them to pull it out and utilize in the future. There's a
Got
lot
it.
of other trusts, like gifting trust to the kids, that we can utilize for that. But for these types of trusts, the goal is usually to give the kids some sort of safety net, whether it's, to make sure we take care of them, any kids or grandkids down the line, for, health purposes, education purposes, maybe a fixed income or a percentage of the trust comes out to them um, each year, so it gives them a small stipend. But yeah, so it's very flexible to create. Uh, it's just we're limited to our imaginations, pretty much.
Well, which there is no limit, right? You can be as
Right.
creative as you want to get. Yeah. So, and then James, so this, for someone who has an existing living trust,
Mhm.
then this is an augment to that, or do you amend the existing trust, or is it
Right.
brand new?
It depends. That's the lawyer's famous phrase. It all depends. So it
Yeah.
depends on what the client wants to do. We can implement it where we augment their existing living trust, so it has that dynastic feature into it. Um, and we can, and many people do it that way. Another option is we create a standalone trust that we only funnel certain assets into them. So if you have um, a project that you're working on where you will be getting a piece of that company's ownership in the future that's intended to grow, you might want to put that opportunity in this type of dynasty trust, um, to benefit the future generations of yours.
James, you have a real life example, obviously, withholding the names, of client where this played out or is playing out?
Yeah, yeah, I have a handful of these examples. One of them is a client that, well, what's common about the dynasty trust is it's usually done by clients who does a lot of real estate deals that has um, sweat equity type ownership in types of deals. So what they typically do is they have a business that they're about to start up, or a project that they're about to start up, that they anticipate will grow you know from 1 million to 5 million within a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Okay.
And so they put their ownership interest into this type of dynasty trust. And usually these are people who have more net worth than the state tax exemption. So for couples over $24 million. And so they know every dollar that they're making is going to be subject to the 40% estate tax.
Oh, okay.
And so they don't like that. Oh, no one likes that, of course. So by putting their opportunity into this Dynasty Trust, they are essentially making sure that the government doesn't take that 40% piece that that the government wants from this opportunity.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. And estate taxes are coming down. I mean, they're set to come down a few years anyway, so that number is
Right.
going to
It's
be
planning on
less.
being reduced from $12 million to about $6 million per person
Yeah.
in 2025, the end of
Yeah.
2025.
And who knows after that?
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Any other scenarios that would be helpful for people trying to understand cases where this applies?
You know, it really, like I said, there's so many variations of this
Right.
that it's difficult to explain each piece. It's really what do you want to do with your trust? How do you want to give assets to your kids? Whether you want the kids to have full control over the money, which is perfectly fine. But some people, they say, we might be giving them too much money. Maybe just so many millions should go to them freely. So many millions should go to them held in this type of dynasty trust. So it lasts beyond their years.
Got it. Okay. I'm just putting up awesome information, James. And I know this was a quick hit on the Dynasty Trust who wanted to get the hot button points out there. I'm putting up in the chat for everybody how to get one-on-one with us. If you want an assessment of your own situation, you want to learn more about this, get with us, get with the team, James and the team, and happy to give you input through our complimentary assessment. And I'm going to put it here. You want to text guard assets to the number in chat, 459-2712. If you text guard assets to that number, you'll be able to get on the calendar and we'll get you connected to the complimentary assessment about your situation. Happy to do it. And also make sure you stay connected with us because we're doing these all the time on issues. Keep you dialed in on what we're doing. James, thanks so much. Thanks you everybody
Paul.
for being here. Yeah, and we'll get the replay out to everybody that signed up and attended. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll see you next time.